Welcome, everyone. Ecomi's token OMI is doing some special things. So I asked Paul to join me just for a special look at Ecomi's token OMI. We've been covering it a lot, had a lot of OMI specific YouTubers on last week because I liked what was happening with the price action. And there's some exciting things happening. So let's welcome Paul joining us. Paul, thanks for coming on this special edition, just looking at Ecomi and what is happening with it.
No problem. Yeah, I know your long-term view on it has been bullish, and as you say, you were praying for it to get a bit cheaper. But it's certainly done that. But it's also formed quite an interesting base here. So over the past few weeks, it's been going sort of sideways, which is the first step to a new trend. So this is the first time we can actually say it's breached the top of this range. So short-term resistance has been breached. It's failed to do that. If we go all the way back from May, it's been hitting up against that resistance level. And the more times the market fails on a level, the more important that level becomes. So it went into a sort of deep dive down here, but it turned around. So it didn't extend the low. And from here, we can see a developing upward trend. So this is a new upward trend, which is obviously what we need to build on in order for this to turn around from a big picture perspective. Of course, it's early days yet, but this is the most encouraging price action we've seen in a very long time. Just to highlight that, this is the medium-term moving average. So I use two: medium term, which is about a 3-month moving average, and a long term, which is about a 1-year moving average. This long-term moving average is still turning down, but it will, like a tanker, it will move much slower in response to the price action. So that's what it's supposed to do. So we've got a bearish cross here. So that was in March, and the trend was going down. But if you look at the moving average, it's slowed down and it's now turning around and moving up. It's also on the right side of the moving average. In other words, it's above that short-term move, or sorry, the medium-term moving average, which is an encouraging sign. Now, it doesn't guarantee that the trend is going to go up, but from a technical perspective, we now have a floor around this 0.0016 area, from where, even if it does retrace a little bit, and let's face it, this has been such a good rally that there will be some people taking short-term profits. Highlighting that is the RSI, which is reading fairly hot, which means that above 70, it's getting kind of overbought, but that can stay overbought in a good trend. So just because it's up there, some traders, when they see this go over 70, they short the market, and that's a really dangerous thing to do, because it only really works well in ranges, and in trends you got to be careful, because it might just come down a little bit, but the market just retraces a bit and then surges through new highs again. So you've got to be very careful with the RSI. But the level that I want to see it break from a longer term perspective is this 0.00226. I know there's a lot of decimal points here and stuff, but on the actual chart itself, this was major support. It had a little bounce there, so there's some buying. So I know that there will be some longs here that might want to take profit around this area here. So if we can get through that, then I would be really encouraged that we've seen, possibly a major low. So a little bit more work to do before we get there, but this is extremely encouraging in the short term. Now, where does it all go wrong? Where I would be quite deflated about this rally would be if it gets below this level here. So below this level would imply a failure for me, 0.00127. And that is just below this consolidation. So this was the short consolidation before it wound up for another rally. So that's why I don't mind it coming back to this level, 0.00169 as support, because that was prior resistance. And that's okay if it comes back to, say, the moving average or the trend line. Those things are okay. But if it goes beyond that and starts to break through that and then through this support, you know what I'm like. I need a parachute to tell me where I might be wrong. And that's why I put that level in there.
Yeah, fundamentally, there's an interesting thing going on this week. So Ecomi has a collectibles app called Vivi, and it has like Batman collectibles, Superman collectibles that are essentially NFTs, where they're digital collectibles that will be convertible to NFTs, so that they would be later tradable on like OpenSea and other things. And Comic-Con is this week, and Akomi shares a booth with Marvel, which is a big deal. And so I think some of this is an anticipation of that if it goes really well and onboards a bunch of traditional collectors into digital collectibles, then, we could see a really big run. Or it could just be like buy the rumor, sell the news, meaning, oh, this anticipation of going into it, and then not much happens. So, it's probably going to be at a decision point in a couple days of whether it gets enough traction and it continues to run, or if enough, some will be taking profits and it'll put a little bit of price pressure for it to go back down. And which of those two will win? I don't know. I'm hoping the price pressure that brings it back down for some more to scoop up. Though I can't say I'll have my feelings hurt too much if it does begin a much longer trend towards the upside.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's it's moving with the broader market, and that's had a very good rally. So we're going to see what the profit taking attitude is of the short term market, whether this can build into something bigger. But it's definitely the most positive sort of short term price action that we've seen in a long time. And I know there will be long term players watching very closely to see if we can get a little bit higher from here in everything, to see whether they're going to jump back in again. So nothing's guaranteed, but it could be a really interesting couple of months, that's for sure.
Yeah, thanks for joining me so we could do a quick special on this, because its price action is looking encouraging, hinting strongly towards a trend reversal. And so there we know if it isn't a trend reversal, it's a little bit of a fake out, or if we continue above that, then likely this is the bottom is in.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. See you all soon.
My pleasure.